when you've got classes and meetings all over campus, these things are the only way to get around. And when you've got a break, they're even better. Whoa! Whoa! Okay, so there is one drawback. That's why these are an important part of the outfit. Hey, look, if you go cruising for thrills, you're taking some risk of getting hurt. But our next story is about a mysterious kind of injury that can happen to anyone, and about an even stranger remedy.
Eight years ago, this man was a professional violinist. But then his career was tragically cut short by a mysterious muscle injury. Now his fingers cramp and spasm uncontrollably. For Gordon Boffman, playing is nearly impossible.
These three fingers just involuntarily contracted. I don't want them down there. I want them over the fingerboard. And what will happen is if I continue forcing it, they simply will not move at all. They will lock up, in effect.
This is a recording Gordon made 10 years ago. He was on the ladder to success, performing in prestigious orchestras and chamber groups. Then, the finger spasms began. No treatment could be found. Gordon had to abandon music altogether.
All of these years, I would love to have played, even if not in a professional sense. Just the sheer joy of playing this instrument is something that, if it could be restored, would be wonderful.
So sit back and enjoy.
Morel Roper, manager of this R&B band, also found her life radically changed by an incurable disorder.
You protect it real good. You need to look in the audience a little bit more. Yeah, focus on the audience. Don't look down.
10 years ago, her voice was normal. Today, she struggles to be heard. The effect on her life has been devastating.
Since my voice problem, the most difficult thing for me to do is to meet people and to have a conversation, general, normal conversation. I cannot do it. It's been very, very hard for me to do, which has been bad for me because most people think that I'm shy, that I'm being cold or elusive, but it's not that.
Okay, you don't notice any weakness at all. Let me just check a couple of things. Put your arms up this way. Hold them up. Don't let me push them down.
After years without music, Gordon is once again looking for treatment.
Push me away from you.
The search brings him to Barbara Karp at the National Institutes of Health. Prodded and poked, Gordon's hands check out fine. Except when he plays the violin. So Dr. Karp moves on to the muscles that control the fingers. They're located not in the hand, but in the forearm. Her diagnosis? Gordon's fingers are constantly flexing against his will because the muscles that control them are overactive.
Hello, Ms. Roper. I'm Dr. Ruth. Oh, yeah. And this is Dr. Ludlow.
Morel's disorder has also brought her to the National Institutes of Health. She's here to visit their voice specialists. Kay Rue is inserting an endoscope, a fiber optic cable attached to a video camera. The camera is threading through Morel's throat. Coming into view is the tongue, and behind that, the white lines of the vocal cords.
Now I want you to repeat E like this, E, E, E.
Christy Ludlow will keep a close eye on the vocal cords as Morel performs speech exercises. Sound is produced when air from the lungs pushes through the cords, making them vibrate.
Okay, now try me, 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 the same way.
Me, 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 me.
Here in this normal example, muscles hold the vocal cords slightly apart, like this, allowing a smooth flow of air.
Okay.
But when Morel speaks, these same muscles overcontract, and the vocal cords clamp shut.
And one nice long E.
Viewed side by side, the difference is dramatic. In fact, both Morel's problem and Gordon's are caused by the same thing, overactive muscles. It's a surprisingly common condition called dystonia that can strike practically any muscle. Here's the problem. Movement begins in the brain, which sends commands speeding through the nervous system toward the muscles. At the nerve endings, the brain's commands are passed to the muscles through a pulse of messengers. But Morel and Gordon's problem is this. It's not known why, but the brain sends a flood of messengers that overstimulate the muscles. There is no cure, but now for the first time there is a treatment. The signals can be blocked with poison.
There's a new poison. 1 ounce can kill all the people in the United States.
Germ warfare can wipe out an entire city.
They're talking about the botulinum toxin, the poison that causes botulism. In World War II, the U.S. Army began investigating it as a biological weapon. But the toxin is more familiar as a source of food poisoning. It's produced when common bacteria are denied air, like in a sealed can. Outbreaks of botulism were all too common in the early days of canning. And over the years, it's taken a deadly toll. Because the toxin blocks the signals for movement, the body's muscles are paralyzed. When it hits the muscles that control the lungs, the victim suffocates.
Just let this go back. Gotcha.
Today, the toxin's paralyzing ability will be used for treatment. This deadly poison offers Morel new hope.
We find most of our patients who come to see us now really are not even listening to the words botulinum toxin, but rather listening to the words treatment, and that's what's important to them.
And we're in channel 4.
For Morel, getting the poison won't be the worst part. First, Dr. Ludlow must figure out where to put it, which requires probing her vocal system with electrodes.
How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling very good.
They must check a lot of muscles. Most are normal, showing only a small amount of activity. But when the needle is inserted into a key speech muscle, there's tremendous activity. This is the muscle responsible for Morel's problem. Now Dr. Rue is going to inject the toxin directly into it.
I'm going to put 5 units right here. Don't swallow, don't move.
It's this precision combined with an incredibly small dose, about 1/1000th of a gram, that makes treatment possible. There's no risk of poisoning, just the targeted muscles will be weakened. The toxin works its way to the nerve ending, where it sets up a sort of barrier, blocking the brain's messengers and eventually paralyzing the muscle. The effect lasts 6 months. Then Morel will need another injection to keep the muscle weakened. Gordon's problem will also be treated with toxin. Again, the most painful part is finding the right muscle. They're going to inject the 4th and 5th fingers, beginning with the 4th. The needle part of the syringe is going to play a crucial role.
What I need you to do is listen very carefully about how to move your finger. We're going to number our fingers a little bit differently.
When the needle moves in sync with the 4th finger, they found the right muscle.
So that doesn't move either.
Okay, and now do the 3rd finger. So right now we're in the muscle that moves the 3rd fingers.
They haven't found it yet.
Okay, try moving it over a little bit. Okay, all right.
All right. It just aches.
Yes, it will ache a little bit when you move your fingers also. Okay, so it's moving a little bit with 5 now.
That's good.
Very nicely with 4.
This would be a good place for 4.
Okay, so that's a good place.
You doing okay?
The injection itself takes just a minute. Then the entire process will have to be repeated to find the other problem muscle. But will the treatment work? To document their progress, Frontiers gave home video cameras to Gordon and Morel.
It becomes necessary for one people to stop.
The tapes tell an extraordinary story.
When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary.
At first, as the toxin weakens her vocal muscles, Morel's voice gets even worse.
In the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to stop.
But soon,
When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political ban.
I'd like to thank all of you for coming out celebrating my new voice. I do have a new voice, you know.
it's 2 months after Morel's injection. She's having a party to celebrate the end of 10 years of silence. Of course, the band is here along with her friends and family.
She is sounding more like a normal human being. I, for one, didn't believe it would really happen. It was like a miracle.
Well, basically, from 1 to 100, to me, it's about 110% better.
I think it's made her a much more outgoing person.
This barbecue, this cookout, I wouldn't do it before because I didn't want to interact with my friends because I thought the way I sounded was awful. This is a start for me. It's great.
Come here on the main floor. Y'all have got no other one but this one. In the scripture, now here's the full picture. Name it, name it, name it, proclaim it. Let me get your rock original. Ain't it?
Meanwhile, Gordon's also charting his progress on home video. For the first week, there's no effect. His fingers still cramp and spasm. Then, a good sign. His pinky loosens up. A few days later, so does his fourth finger. Just weeks later, for the first time in 10 years, Gordon Boffman is performing with another musician.
I never thought I would ever be able to play again, and I never even wanted to think about playing again because it was too painful recognizing what I had lost. It's wonderful to be able to play a piece and feel like an artist again. It's an incomparable joy to be able to play music.